Don't move to Redondo Beach before listening to this video. Today I'm giving you the good, the bad, the ugly, and what you need to know before moving to Redondo Beach, and I'm getting started right now. What's up everybody, this is Shira Adato, and here on this channel I cover what it's like to live, eat, work, play in the South Bay and beach cities of Los Angeles. So make sure you hit that red subscribe button below if you want to stay in the know. I get so many texts, calls, emails from people relocating here, and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking of moving anywhere in the Los Angeles area, make sure you reach out. So while normally I do cover all the wonderful things about living in this area, today I'm getting into all the reasons you might not want to move to Redondo Beach. Make sure you stay on till the end because the last one is the one that not many people are even talking about. No place is perfect, so I'm giving it to you straight because that's what you'll always get from me. Honesty and integrity, and I don't sugarcoat things. Before we dive in, I'd like to spend a little bit of time with the map showing you the ins and outs of Redondo Beach and where it is in relation to Los Angeles. If you're already familiar, you can jump ahead about 60 seconds. Okay, so here we are on the map. I always like to show you just to give a little context. This is Redondo Beach. Outlined in red, you can see this is North Redondo and this is South Redondo. It's divided by this street called 190th, which is also known as Anita in some parts of the street. So North Redondo is adjacent to Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach. So if you just go west, you will hit those beaches, and that's where a lot of the locals hang out. It does not have direct beach access, but it does have proximity to the freeway entrance. So that is one of the conveniences living in North Redondo, and you are a little bit closer to Los Angeles. Here down in South Redondo, you have direct coastal access, and you have access to Pacific Coast Highway, known as the One, which goes all the way north. So that's where a lot of people will commute, because getting to the actual freeway is just farther or less convenient. Now let me zoom out for a second and just show you where we are in relation to the city. So you can still see that the area is outlined here. If you go north, this is downtown, this is West LA, Santa Monica, Culver City, and LAX Airport. If you go south on the 405 down this way, you'll hit Long Beach and Huntington Beach, Orange County area. So let's dive in. So I'll start with the elephant in the room, the cost of living. When choosing a new place to live, the cost of living is a significant consideration. The cost of living in Redondo Beach is higher than the national average, I would say, and it's higher than even most other cities in the state. Now, there are definitely places in the LA area that cost a lot more, including some of Redondo's neighbors like Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and even El Segundo, and of course Palos Verdes. But the overall average of housing costs, utilities, groceries, transportation, healthcare, and all the miscellaneous goods and services tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side in Redondo Beach. When it comes to housing, if you're coming from out of area, you're going to get a little sticker shock in terms of what you get. When you think of $1 million house in most areas, you think of this luxury property with a large lot and highly upgraded finishes, but here $1 million is really only a starter home. Actually, it's more like a townhouse or a condo. A popular style of housing here in Redondo is what's known as a two-on-a-lot, because they give you more space for your money in most cases. They have the feel of a single family home and even some yard space, but because you're on a shared lot where the homes share a driveway, they are slightly more affordable, and they're really a great option for a lot of people who want to get into this area. But since this is a video about the negatives, I just want to point out that you're spending over $1 million and not even getting a single family. And because we're by the beach, often living right on top of your neighbors is probably the reality for you as well. Now let's dive into weather. While most people view weather in Southern California as one of the top benefits of living here, and for the most part I do too, I mean average temperatures in like the 70s and comfortable year-round, I want to highlight some of the negatives of the weather here because it does factor into quality of life heavily, and I want you to be able to weigh your decision about living here if this is important to you. So while the weather is beautiful, we do not have seasons here, really. I mean, yeah, winter is a little bit cooler, we get some rain, but you will not experience a true fall or a true winter here. We Californians love to pretend it's cold. We'll go out in our Ugg boots in the winter as if it's actually cold, but if someone were to come here from out of state and see what we called cold, they'd probably laugh at us. I grew up in upstate New York. I know cold. I know snow. What we have in here in California is not true cold, even on those rare days when it gets down in the 50s and we're freezing. Now, the other thing I want to point out about the weather is this phenomenon we have in the spring and summer called May gray and June gloom. Most days of these months, when you wake up, it will be gloomy and gray and even a little chilly. It's like this marine layer fog sort of thing that happens, and it just feels yucky. The good news, though, is that most of the time that will burn off by around noon and 1 p.m., and we do get sunny afternoons in those months. But it can be kind of annoying that the rest of the world is celebrating the start of spring, and you see sunny, warm weather and shorts and flip-flops, and we have this kind of gray, gloomy thing going on for part of the day. Okay, so you can't live in Southern California without considering the traffic. LA is notorious for having horrible traffic on the freeways. You think of the 405, you think of traffic. So if you live in Redondo Beach and you have to commute, you're going to experience the horrible traffic of LA. Now, if you live in South Redondo, and I do talk about the differences between North and South Redondo in another video, so please be sure to check that out. But if you live in South Redondo, you don't have easy freeway access. I'd say the drive to the freeway entrance is, in heavier traffic, it's sometimes as much as 15, 20 minutes on top of your commute to wherever you're going. So if you're going to downtown LA, you'd probably be taking the 110. If you're going to West LA, you'll go on the 405 North, or South if you're heading to Long Beach or Orange County, and those are always congested. There's no such thing as rush hour. Now, I know 15 minutes away might not seem like a lot, but if you're in a rush in the morning or after a long day of work and you've already been sitting in traffic, and you get off the exit, and then you still have this other 15 minutes of starting and stopping and traffic lights and stop signs, and you just want to get home, it is annoying. And that's in South Redondo. I believe that most residents believe that the charm and beauty of South Redondo make it worth it, but it is still something annoying you need to know about. Living in North Redondo cuts that down a little bit because you're much closer to the freeway entrance. But if you live in North Redondo, you're farther from the beach and farther from the high school. So while Redondo has multiple elementary schools and it actually has 2 middle schools, there is only one high school. It's the second largest high school campus in California, and it is absolutely beautiful and very highly rated. Go to greatschools.org for school scores. But actually, both my kids went to Redondo Union, and personally, we've had an amazing experience with the school and the educators and the administration. The school spirit, the vibe, everything about it we loved. But it is located in South Redondo. So residents who live in North Redondo will have a longer drive, and that too can be annoying. In general, at peak times, even driving within the city can feel very congested and slow going, and lots of stop signs and traffic lights. So that is why I would definitely put this as a con. But being honest, that's not specific to Redondo Beach. It's really true everywhere in Los Angeles. Freeways are not the only traffic issue. The surface streets suffer from it too. So let's talk about earthquakes. Of course, every area comes with its own risk of natural disasters, but earthquakes are obviously a known issue in California. Now I'll share my personal experience with earthquakes. Having lived in Redondo Beach for over 22 years, I've definitely experienced my share of bigger earthquakes. No big one that ended up in catastrophe. You definitely feel them when they happen. They're scary. Some of them can feel like a big jolt, like a train hitting your house, like a boom. And some feel more like the whole house is swaying and rolling, kind of a rumbling feeling. Those can often feel like they're going on forever, even though it's usually only a few seconds. But in 22 years, knock on wood, I've never experienced any damage or anything, even falling off a shelf. And as much as we prepare for them, every time it happens, I kind of freeze and don't remember, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go outside? Am I supposed to go onto a doorway, under a table? Your brain kind of panics in those moments. Our kids do earthquake drills at school. They're supposed to be prepared. But yeah, earthquakes. And the other thing to know about earthquakes is that it's hard to insure your home against them. There is earthquake insurance, but the deductibles are extremely high. So I know many people who opt not even to pay for it. Okay, so let's talk about some of the chief complaints around housing. Redondo has a lot of different housing options, which is good, and it can range in price. So if you want to get into a starter home, there are townhome and condo options that are more accessible if you're on a more limited budget. You give up a little space, you give up a little yard area, but people are willing to do that because of the community, because of the great schools, because of the proximity to the beach. In North Redondo, you definitely have smaller lots, and you have a lot of those 2-on-1 lots. But a big problem that is specific to the Golden Hills area are the very skinny lot sizes and closeness of the homes to one another. The lots in this area are only 25 feet wide, so the homes are very, very close to one another. And they have very small yards, if at all, and the homes are very close to the street with no curbs or sidewalks on some of those blocks. Street parking is also a huge issue in that neighborhood, so you have to rely on your garage and your driveway spots. And lastly, in that area, many of the homes were built with a reverse floor plan with the main living area upstairs and the bedrooms downstairs. So some of the homes kind of have like a dungeony basement feel in those ground floor bedrooms. It does depend how the house was built, but I'd say this is a big complaint I hear from clients when exploring Golden Hills. The location and proximity to Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach, this is a huge draw for a lot of people, as well as the fact that you're going to get an actual single family home. It's smaller, but it's a single family versus a 2-on-1 lot, which some people prefer even if it is smaller, but it does come with those downsides. I did a full video on Golden Hills here if you want to check that out. There are people that actually love that neighborhood and will only want to live there because it has this great sense of community, but these are the complaints I hear and information that I think is important for you to consider. So I wanted to share that with you. And while this video is about the cons, there are obviously so many pros that make all things worth living here for over 67,000 people. So if you want to weigh what might be right for you and need guidance, that's what I'm here for. But I can't help unless you reach out. So make sure you get my contact info from here and let's chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.